Well, I mean, I think whenever it started, the message and the idea of the name anti-flag was far less euphorical than what it is now. At first, being young kids, we weren't able to see outside of our direct scene in Pittsburgh that we came out of. At the time of the inception of the band Anti-Flag, it was very kosher and not uncommon to see bands hanging American flags behind them as they played, stopping and saying the Pledge of Allegiance during shows, and really basing the whole scene on nationalism, which is something that the bands that inspired us to be punk rockers, it was something that those bands didn't agree with. So it sort of sent off little chips in us to say, like, you know, this flag stands for the status quo, and what we believe punk rock is the opposite of that. So that's where Anti-Flag came from. Now, I mean, it's out of getting away from Pittsburgh and where we started, it's so much bigger than that. It's anti-every flag in the world, and really recognizing you and I as human beings and citizens of the world, not citizens of a flag. We find it outrageous that you can walk into a Walmart and buy a USA #1 t-shirt, because that just throws the rest of the world below you, and that does not make any sense to us. So that is the overall message and idea of Anti-Flag, and, you know, sum it up in one word, it's equality. First thing I say is, to anyone who's a critic of the decision, we feel that the record stands on its own, and will show them that Anti-Flag is still the same band that Anti-Flag was, and RCA has nothing to do with the decisions we make sonically and ideologically. Yes, I was able to eat based on the Fat Records deal. Yes, I had an apartment. However, Fat Records does not have the resources and distribution of RCA Records. And I have no qualms with taking their money and spending it on our ideals. And that is the biggest sort of thing about this move. There are other places in the world where we have a really hard time getting our songs to people. And I say the world because this is a worldwide deal with RCA. Fat Records, our record was an import everywhere else, and substantially more money. Now our records are made in the countries where they're sold, which is a big deal to us. You know, we're still as DIY as we ever were.
Right.
And the only difference is, instead of using, you know, Fat Mike's money to pay for how we're DIY, we're using BMG's.
Yeah, and that's the more power to him. I mean, that's great.
And you know, like I said, it's not an issue of us, you know, getting a fast car or whatever we're gonna get with our money, because we were, like I said, like you said, we were okay.
Yeah.
But you know, the real issue comes in spreading Anti-Flag. Do I think it's gonna work? I have no fucking idea. If we sell one more record than we sold when we were on Fat, it was worth it.
Cool.
If we sell one less, it's still perfectly fine. You know, it's just good to see yourself as young and see yourself as you know, active, and, you know, ageism is such a plague of the punk scene. You know, specifically whenever you go back to that second camp who say, like, oh, they sold out, there's going to be 13-year-olds at their shows now. And all I can say is, great.
Yeah.
Let's introduce them at 7 to the ideas of equality.
Right.
Like, how about, let's talk about not eating McDonald's. That's going to bum out a 6-year-old because all he wants is a Happy Meal, but let's talk about it. You know what I mean? So I think that that ageism is a plague, and, you know, old people will say that young people don't know what's happening, and middle-aged people will say that, you know, oh, this is my scene, you know, you're too young to be here, and it's, you know, it's bullshit. It's for everyone. The music and ideas are for everyone, and that's sort of the goal of always being 19.